What's up, friends? Back again with another edition of the pagan world, religions before Christianity, produced by the Great Courses book series, and our presenter, Professor Hans. Don't want to butcher his name, so I'll just keep it at that. Professor Hans Mueller. Mueller. Some of you might get that reference, but for the rest of you, it's just you had to be there. You had to be there. So, religion, pagan religion. The word pagan is a slander against other religions outside of your own. If I'm a Christian and somebody's considered a Jew, it's like, those pagans. The Bible's the best book ever wrote. I don't understand why they just want to commit themselves to one page. They need to grow up. They're not sophisticated enough to understand the fullness of the Holy Bible. No. That wouldn't be right. Just because somebody's religion is different from yours doesn't necessarily make them wrong. And that's what the professor is talking about today. And in the lectures to come, I'm going to dissect exactly what they mean by paganism. Why is your religion better than mine? I'm not understanding. Speak on that. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Death and sex both present existential challenges, and both express what to a mind schooled in current monotheistic traditions might consider disproportionate themes. Death perhaps we can accept, but celebrations of sex. Our culture has farmed out the celebration of sex to the entertainment industries. Our religious systems tend to promote abstinence from such indulgence. To find such celebrations in a religious context may still shock. A Barbie doll can hint suggestively at sex, but even in our jaded times, one might still frown at depictions of Mary, although she is a mother, as a fertility goddess. If we move from the Stone Age Austria to Stone Age Crete or Stone Age Iran, we see similar obese female forms with large buttocks and breasts. These Neolithic fertility goddesses are already some 15,000 years closer in time to us than the Venus of Willendorf, showing a wide, sustained interest in such objects. But let us retreat for a moment from Neolithic or New Stone Age to the Paleolithic or Old Stone Age, almost 30,000 years ago. In caves from Portugal to Spain to southern France, archaeologists have found numerous depictions of animals, including bison, mammoths, and antelopes, as well as much rarer depictions of human beings. These depictions of animals have been interpreted as sympathetic hunting magic. One paints, the thinking goes, what one hopes to kill. Others suggest that these images promote fertility among the beasts their painters hope to hunt. More complex interpretations exist of these drawings as representations of a complete metaphysical system through complex patterns. Unfortunately, we do not have time to linger over these ancient artifacts. What we can conclude, however, is that even before writing, human beings grappled with sex, death, and nature, at least if representations of a portion of what was edible at the time may serve as a guide. What gods may have lurked, what ceremonies those ancient peoples performed, escape us, however, until we descend to the more numerous documents of the Bronze Age, an age of gods, heroes, and war. And let us turn to this age now. The beginnings of agriculture and urban organization can be found in the ancient Near East, along, between, and around two major rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. Mesopotamia is a convenient shorthand, deriving from Greek mesos and potamos, meaning mid-river. This geographic term is a catch-all for the various civilizations and cultures that flourished in this region. These civilizations include the Sumerians, who were the most southern and the most ancient, the Babylonians, who wrote in a Semitic language known as Akkadian.
Babylonians, Sumerians, these are some of the groups that were spoken about in the book of Ancient Egypt. Professor Breyer was speaking on that. He mentioned them quite a lot. They seem to be just as important now in this segment as they were in ancient Egypt. In the book on ancient Egypt, they covered a lot of religion. I think I made like 2 or 3 videos on it. You can go back and see my earlier works. But yeah, some of the things that he's going to explain were touched upon in the book of ancient Egypt, but I feel like he's going to go more in depth with it. So, if you're ready, let's go down this rabbit hole.
The Assyrians and other less ancient but closely related Semitic people who adopted Babylonian religion, and finally the Hittites, an Indo-European people centered in Anatolia, modern-day Turkey. The Assyrians, we may add, were to the Babylonians as the Romans were to the Greeks. The Assyrians were very religious, interested in all religions, and although often dismissed as warlike and unoriginal, it is to their interest in collecting ancient texts that we owe much of our knowledge. These cultures are ancient, but how ancient? Sumerian culture dates back to 3400 BCE. Old Akkadian, the most ancient Semitic language, dates to 2300 BCE. The Hebrews did not settle Palestine until the 1200s, and the House of David did not rule till the 900s BCE. The Hebrew Bible is early modern in comparison with these texts. And the Greeks and Romans, even closer to the present. We run roughshod over an array of civilizations. These empires rose and fell over millennia. But I hasten to introduce a text, the Enuma Elish, which tells the story of creation and will serve to introduce us to the mythology and religion of Mesopotamia, a tradition that offers striking parallels with later mythologies and thus seems to have exerted a strong influence on them. Our text derives from the library of the Assyrian king Ashurbanipal, who reigned from
Bunny
668
Paul?
to 627 BCE. His library in Nineveh collected large numbers of religious texts in the shape of clay tablets, written in cuneiform. Upon the collapse of his empire, the library was buried in the sands until it was uncovered by modern archaeologists. These texts include such stories as the creation epic, the Epic of Gilgamesh, the earliest account of the flood, more famous in the later version featuring Noah, and the descent of Ishtar into hell, as well as liturgies, prayers, hymns, chants to be sung at various festivals, ritual texts, incantations and spells, omen texts, astrological texts, and instructions for divination.
Instructions for divination. The Epic of Gilgamesh. That is one of the most popular stories in the ancient world. I've heard that story many times on many forums as well as YouTube channels. Seems like some of everybody, regardless of what your personal religion is, has heard the story of Gilgamesh. If they don't know it specifically, they've heard of it. And the flood story. Everybody on earth has an account of the flood story. It switches up depending on what region of the world you're in, but it's the basic concept is all the same. So we will stop here. But yeah, I like the fact that he's diving deep, giving us a breakdown of how things came to be and why people think the way they thought back then. So ponder on that. Be safe. And I'll talk to you later.